Imagine the roar of the crowd echoing through a packed stadium, the thrill of victory pulsing in the air. This was the world of Colin Hendry, a towering figure in British football, whose story reads like a heartbreaking drama, filled with highs that soared to the heavens and lows that plunged into despair. Once hailed as Scotland's unbreakable captain, leading his nation onto the pitch at the 1998 World Cup, Hendry embodied the spirit of a warrior. His fearless tackles and commanding presence made him a legend, especially during that magical 1995 season when he helped Blackburn Rovers clinch the Premier League title against all odds. Fans adored him, not just for his skill, but for the raw bravery he brought to every game. Over 2 decades, he carved out a reputation as one of the finest defenders the sport had seen, a man who seemed invincible both on and off the field. But peel back the layers of glory, and you'll find a deeply personal tale of love and family that grounded this football icon. Married to the radiant Denise, Hendry built a life that appeared picture-perfect. Together they raised 4 children, Ryan, Kyle, Callum and Neve, who became the beating heart of their world. Denise wasn't just a wife, she was his rock, his unwavering supporter through the grueling demands of a professional career. Her inner and outer beauty shone brightly, and Hendry often credited her for keeping him steady amid the chaos of fame. Their home was a sanctuary of laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the brutal intensity of the pitch. Life for the Hendry family felt like a fairy tale scripted by destiny itself. Yet in the blink of an eye, that fairy tale twisted into a nightmare. It all began in April 2002, a seemingly innocuous decision that would unravel everything. Fresh from giving birth to their 4th child, Denise sought to reclaim her pre-pregnancy figure with a routine tummy tuck at a private clinic in Preston. What should have been a straightforward procedure turned catastrophic. The surgeon, in a series of grievous errors, perforated her bowel and colon 9 times. Sepsis ravaged her body like a silent assassin, causing her organs to shut down one by one. Her heart flatlined for a harrowing 4 minutes, and doctors grimly pegged her survival odds at a mere 10%. For 3 agonizing months, Denise clung to life in the hospital, tubes and machines sustaining her fragile existence. Hendry, the stoic defender, transformed into a devoted vigil keeper, never leaving her bedside. He held her hand through the pain, whispering words of encouragement, but deep down he knew this was only the opening act of a prolonged horror. The aftermath stretched into 7 torturous years of relentless medical battles. Denise underwent operation after operation, each one a desperate attempt to mend the irreversible damage inflicted by that fateful surgery, the culprit behind her suffering. Gustav Arniensen, the surgeon who, aware of his catastrophic blunders, fled the scene by voluntarily striking himself off the UK's medical register and ceasing practice. In 2006, the Hendrys secured a substantial 6-figure settlement, but money was a hollow victory. It couldn't restore Denise's vitality or erase the scars etched into her body and soul. By 2009, hope flickered once more as she checked into Salford Royal Hospital for what they prayed would be the final corrective procedure. 11 weeks of treatment followed, with Hendry clinging to optimism. Tragically, fate had other plans. Denise contracted a virulent infection, meningitis, that proved unbeatable. On July 10, 2009, at just 43 years old, she slipped away, leaving a void that swallowed Hendry whole. The woman who had been his everything was gone, after enduring a valiant fight that tested the limits of human endurance. The loss shattered Hendry like a fragile glass trophy. Grief, that insidious thief, stole his composure and thrust him into a downward spiral. To dull the excruciating pain, he turned to alcohol, drowning his sorrows in bottles that promised temporary oblivion. Gambling soon joined the fray, a seductive escape where he chased highs to replace the lows. Hendry later confessed to the heavy drinking in those initial dark days, and while he downplayed the extent of his betting compared to tabloid exaggerations, it spiraled out of control nonetheless. What started as small wagers ballooned into a vicious cycle. Losses fueled more bets, drinks begat more drinks, and the destruction fed on itself. Even before Denise's passing, cracks had begun to show. In January 2009, mere months before her death, Hendry confided in his close friend Hector MacFarlane about his dire financial straits. "Cash flow is zero," he lamented, sensing predators closing in. Desperation led him to borrow from anyone who would listen. £65,000 from his late father's estate, £35,000 from his brother, even £10,000 from Denise's parents. But the largest sum came from Hector and his wife Wilma MacFarlane, a staggering £95,000. These weren't just lenders, they were confidants who had stood by the family, even bearing Denise's coffin at her funeral. Hendry begged them to keep the loan hushed from Denise, shielding her from additional worry in her fragile state. It painted a portrait of a man buckling under immense pressure, juggling secrecy and sorrow. Denise's death only accelerated the collapse. Hendry attempted an individual voluntary arrangement, IVA, to restructure his mounting debts, allowing gradual repayments. But creditors, scenting blood, rejected it en masse, demanding full restitution. On June 23, 2010, the hammer fell. Hendry was declared bankrupt, courtesy of proceedings initiated by Spreadex, the online betting firm to which he owed a fortune. His total liabilities: a jaw-dropping £2.2 million, with the lion's share, £1.30 million, owed to HM Revenue and Customs in back taxes. Forced to liquidate his prized possession, a £1.75 million, grade the second listed mansion in Lytham St Anne's, Hendry watched as mortgages and loans devoured the proceeds, leaving crumbs for unsecured creditors. Upon his discharge from bankruptcy in July 2011, he was obligated to repay a paltry £36,000, just under 2% of the debt, spread over 3 years at £1,000 monthly. The fallout was explosive. Creditors seethed with rage. Hector MacFarlane, in particular, recovered a meager £1,800 from his £95,000 outlay. Betrayal poisoned their long-standing friendship, culminating in Hector lodging a fraud complaint with the police, accusing Hendry of borrowing with intent to default via bankruptcy. Authorities dismissed it as a civil dispute, but the rift was irreparable, a bond forged over decades now ashes. The drama escalated to shocking violence in June 2012. Dining at an Italian restaurant in Lytham, with his 24-year-old daughter Rain, Hendry crossed paths with Hector MacFarlane. Enraged at the sight of Hendry seemingly enjoying life while debts lingered, Hector erupted. He struck Rain, sending her tumbling to the floor, then pummeled Hendry's back with furious blows, bellowing demands for his money laced with profanities. CCTV captured the chaos in vivid detail. At 64, Hector faced court, pleading guilty to assaulting both father and daughter. Fines and costs totaled £1,026, with nominal compensations, £50 to Rain and £100 to Hendry. Wilma too was penalised for threats against Rain. It was a scene straight out of a thriller, where grief-fueled debts ignited into physical confrontation. Hendry's woes deepened further. On February 21, 2015, authorities pulled him over for drink driving, his breathalyzer registering 63 micrograms of alcohol per 100 milliliters, nearly double the 35 microgram legal threshold. Initially contesting the charge over alleged testing flaws, he relented, earning a 17-month driving ban, a £110 fine, £200 in costs, and a £20 victim surcharge on April 22, 2015. Concurrently, his romantic life unraveled. Dating beautician Sarah Kinder, their split in early March 2015 left Hendry unmoored. Refusing to let go, he bombarded her with texts and emails up to 10 daily, and made unsolicited home visits, even hurling stones at her window twice to rouse her. This harassment ceased only with his arrest on April 18, 2015. Charged with harassment and common assault, he admitted to the former. The latter was dropped after Sarah's withdrawal. Sentencing on August 20, 2015, brought a 12-month community order and 100 hours of unpaid work. The judge's stern warning of potential imprisonment hung like a sword, but Hendry's counsel framed it as the close of a blip, vowing reform. These scandals obliterated Hendry's once sterling image. From national hero to tabloid villain, his arrests and courtroom dramas supplanted memories of triumphant goals and saves. Yet, The narrative isn't purely one of self-destruction. Hendry has pointed fingers at Kingsbridge Asset Management, the financial advisors who steered him, and stars like Wayne Rooney and Rio Ferdinand, into disastrous investments. Film and property schemes backfired spectacularly, saddling clients with massive tax burdens. Subsequent arrests of ex-Kingsbridge staff for fraud conspiracy, alongside police probes, bolster Hendry's claim of being misled by trusted experts. He entrusted his earnings to supposed professionals, only to be betrayed, and has sought redress if wrongdoing is confirmed. It adds a layer of complexity. Was Hendry solely the architect of his ruin, or a victim ensnared by cunning opportunists? Through it all, resilience glimmers. Hendry has pivoted to coaching and punditry gigs with ESPN, candidly owning his missteps while asserting his inherent goodness. Everyone errs, he reflects, and many sympathize, recognizing Denise's death as a cataclysm that could fell anyone. A fan once mused, "This is a profound tragedy for Colin and his kin. Losing her stripped him of his anchor." His saga serves as a poignant cautionary tale, how swiftly fortune flips, how grief can propel one into abyss, and how athletes post-glory grapple with vulnerability. From captaining Scotland to navigating bankruptcy and brushes with the law, Hendry's journey is a riveting chronicle of human frailty. Today he leads a subdued existence, resolute in his pledge to uphold the law. Whether full redemption awaits is uncertain, but his odyssey endures as football's most poignant tragedy, a reminder that even legends are mortal, susceptible to the tempests of life.